Greetings, everyone, and thank you for joining the conversation. Again, my name is CJ Ward, and a part of a conscientious conversation, once again, is termed as a conversation that only requires two or more willing individuals, an open and honest conversation, a conversation with the intent of improving the quality of life for the entire country and not just selected groups of this United Nation. So let's have a seat and discuss. So today, I have the honor of being joined by Dr. Shambra Mulder. So I want to make sure I got that right because I'm very respectful of people's names. So Dr. Mulder, thank you for joining the conversation. If you'd like to introduce yourself to the people.
Thank you for having me again. I'm Shambra Mulder. I have a PhD in educational psychology, and my clinical work is in school psychology. And so I've been doing this for a while. However, I spent about 10 years in public schools, then teaching at the higher education, and then having a private practice. And now I work at the state level. But my specific area of interest is trauma and work with children and adolescents. And so I try to come from a trauma-informed approach in addressing all issues related to mental health in our community.
Awesome. Definitely all fields that I'm passionate about. So I'm in great company today. So thank you for joining the conversation. Since, what you spoke about last, trauma and also youth, how do you feel about the current state right now, just in the midst of the pandemic and even before the pandemic? How do you feel about those two sectors?
I'm excited that I think younger people are more comfortable talking about mental health. I'm not quite sure that they know or that there's available support for mental health of our youth. There is a critical shortage of providers. And so if you encounter someone that needs a therapist or a psychiatrist, I'm not sure how easy it is to find them what they need. And, I'm being an African American provider, which is even fewer. And I focused on racial trauma and working with African American youth. I know that people want to see a Black provider, but again, I just don't think that's easy. It might be easier in certain parts of the country than it is in Kentucky, but I don't think it's necessary, but I think it is helpful, and there is some credibility in the idea of having someone that looks like you and share the same culture. But I am very concerned about the lack of mental health services that are available in terms of the number of providers and in terms of people being able to afford care because providers don't want to take insurance.
So if you could give just some advice for if someone was looking for like those services, what would be some of the initial steps that they should take?
I think the initial step, if you have insurance and you plan to use insurance, would be to call your insurance company to find out what providers take that insurance. I think the next step would be to contact the school. They have some providers there, or they may have some resources to get you connected. The third thing would be to check online directories. So there's a good one that I use, that's Psychology Today, just because I think it's common. It's not the only one, but it's one where you can read about the person, kind of get a feel of, what kind of work and how they approach their work, whether they take your insurance. The next thing I would do, it's probably just talk to someone in your community, a friend, someone else who might have resources. And the last thing is that each one of our counties, at least in Kentucky, have what we call community health centers. They are state supported, and they have sliding scales. If you don't have insurance, they can get you insured. And I think it's just a good way to work with the populations that don't have the money to pay. Because if you really want, and there's several different types of therapists, and there's not a lot of big difference between them. but the range could be $80 to $200 an hour. So it is, and I'm not saying that the more money they charge, the better they are. It just happens to be with the kind of degree and licensing they have. But I would research the person, and I would choose someone that best fits what I need. But I also know that you are in charge. And if that person does not meet your need, you can go somewhere else. That doesn't mean don't get it. It's just that this person is not a good fit for you, and may not necessarily be a problem that they have or that you have. You just got to find a good fit. And so I just encourage people there's value in talking with someone, a professional, as opposed to your friend, because this person has ethics that they have to stand by, confidentiality, and they don't have the emotional connection that other people have. So you might say some things that you wouldn't say to your family, you wouldn't say to your friends, that might cause alarm. And so there's value. Don't wait until you're in a crisis. There's value in just everyone having a therapist, including the therapist.
Very, very true.
I joke with people. I say I won't trust a therapist who doesn't have a therapist.
Okay. So I definitely agree with you on that. So people, be patient, take your time, do the research, find what you need. It's worth it.
Nothing ever was handed, all about respect, never about ego. Wish I could have retired a long time ago and disappeared way beyond the trees. But my homies kept influencing me, said they needed to hear my lyrics, like my flow, cause they felt my spirit. Plus the people needed to hear it, a conversation with conscientious lyrics.